Hi guys.
Hi.
Thank you for taking that time out to talk to me.
Of course.
So I guess to start things off, what's cool about the show is that it's like not your typical like superhero show, but it also like melds like themes of like coming of age and like your character especially like exploring her sexuality and navigating high school. So it's like to be part of a project that melds like coming of age, YA, and superhero, two genres that don't necessarily like uh, come together often.
How was it like to
Yeah.
do that? Well, I thought it was an amazing kind of compromise, kind of compromise. What is it to combination? That's the word. You could cut the other parts out. I thought it was a great combination because to kind of add something like supernatural thing to the whole like just coming of age thing, and suddenly she has also superpowers is such a weird mix, but at the same time it makes a lot of sense because you get to really see kind of how she has to deal with something that is so out of the ordinary, and kind of having her also deal with normal high school stuff, and also I have to be really careful with what I do or else I could like hurt someone, kill someone, all exploding things and whatnot. It's just I just thought it was the perfect combination, and I really wanted to work on something like this because of that.
Yeah, I like that added touch of realism that you don't get in like the big budget superhero movies. So that's cool. And touching on that, women and girls also are getting more shine in this genre has been male dominated for decades. So I'd like to just bring that narrative and have be part of a show where like a woman is at the center.
Yeah, no, it's great because I feel like there is kind of like a thing now where women are kind of like the main elements in like kind of like not a horror genre but very like dark coming of age stuff, and it's because usually the stuff that's usually made like that is very male dominated, so kind of having a woman being the strong supporting role is it's great to see, and it's kind of a good redemption to kind of redeem ourselves from that and kind of show something new and show something different and show something that is good for a good role model for up and coming women actresses. You want to say something about that?
I got it. You said it well. You said it good.
And just to wrap things up, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, obviously, when it comes to representation, but especially with like this whole slate of Netflix shows that you're really leading the charge when it comes to showing people of different genders, races, sexualities, and they get to be the stars of their own shows. So what's that like just to be a part of this new wave of representative media?
Yeah. Well, I think it goes even beyond how you look and who you are, and also just like how you act. I think a lot of older coming of age tales kind of focus on like, they're specifically an outcast, or like they're specifically a jock. Like it's not really like in a gray zone or in between, and it kind of glorifies those roles. And I feel like our show tries to deconstruct those roles and really just break down people to who they essentially are, and not who they are in high school in their labels. So I think with our show we've kind of hit a point where everyone's allowed to be themselves, and seeing that representation on screen is really important.
Hi guys. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to me.
Yeah.
Of course.
So what I like the most about this show is that like it's a cool combination of coming of age, realistic high school, but also like have superhero too.
Yeah.
So was it fun to be on this project where it's like this mending of two genres that don't usually get to
Yeah, it's amazing because I think so many things are centered around the superpowers itself and how people kind of grow into it, but we look at it metaphorically as these superpowers as they kind of seem to bubble up within Sydney. It's also a metaphor for puberty, growing up, and just coming to terms with yourself.
Right, you can really see her powers kind of happen and flare up when she feels super anxious or super angry, and it's a really great metaphor for just growing up in general, and kind of suddenly having these new things happen to your body that you have to deal with, and you really don't know how to deal with them, but they're there and you just have to deal with it. So yeah, I think we were able to kind of blend those two nicely.
Absolutely.
And it worked really well. So with recent titles like other women-led films like Birds of Prey, Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, women have been starting to like finally get the spotlight in like a very male-dominated genre.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little about being a part of a project like that where like a women and get to be at the forefront, get to be the ones
Yeah. Well, I
that
think
shine?
it's long overdue. I mean, I'm more than stoked to be on a project like this. It is really important to have that representation and also show it in a way where, you know, Sid is not always sure of herself, and a lot of times she's actually wishing she didn't have the superpowers, but she still powers through and she still deals with it. So, yeah.
And I just think the whole point of movies and art in general is to move people and to show a different perspective. And for me, as a man, to be able to watch all of these recent things, and even to get it away from the superhero genre, like a Little Women or Lady Bird, and these perspectives of things that
Greta wig.
Greta Gerwig was amazing, but things I personally would not understand, wouldn't empathize with, and to see it on a big screen for a large audience and to understand the struggles, I think is super important.
And just to quickly wrap things up, Netflix is really leading the charge with a bunch of diverse shows, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But like I said, Netflix has a huge slate of like shows with characters of different genders, races, sexualities. So what's it like to be part of this new wave of media that's really representative and really inclusive?
I am super proud because I think that this should become normal, and I think that it's, again, way overdue. Like, people are completely different and very complex, and I think it's very important to represent everyone in shows, especially if you're trying to be authentic and true to the real world. Well, then have real people in the shows. Like, it makes sense. So.
And ultimately to hit that wider audience where people all over the world can watch something and just feel like they're being seen.
And represented, yeah.
Yeah.